Today we're going to modify the Delonghi Dedica EC680, 685, or EC785 from this steam wand to this steam wand. And to do that, you need 4 parts. You need not only the steam wand, which looks like this. You see it's got a high pressure line attached to it, and therefore you need also a new steam valve that has got a fitting for the high pressure line. And because the valve just comes like this, you're also going to need, in addition, an O-ring, and you're going to need a little clip. So let's just get started. By the way, I got the O-ring and I got the clip by parting out this machine here. I got these two guys on eBay. I'm gonna put links to these two things, and I believe that there's also some links to buy something like this O-ring as well as the clip. These are very common parts. So I'm gonna put links to all these things in the description box down below. So let's get started by just removing the parts that we don't need on there right away. The water tank, don't need this on there either. The first thing that I generally do is remove these 2 screws right here. These are 2 Phillips screws. I do suggest also taking some pictures as you go along just to make sure that you know where everything comes from, where it originally came from. But anyway, it's 2 screws here, 7 on the bottom that we're going to see next. Then we've got also some screws inside. Actually, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 screws on the bottom. So let's just do those screws next. For that, we've got this special T20 star bit. Now, if you don't have a T20 star bit, you can also use a different screwdriver like this one here, just a slotted one, and you can use a slotted one to get in there. That does work. But I'm going to use the T20 hold bit since I have it. Now, these last 2 in the front, by the way, these are shorter ones, and those are Phillips. So I'm just going to put my Phillips bit on there and remove those. So now we can remove the bottom part. There's the bottom lid, just like that. You can also see the bottom part here. It's going to be, we're going to have to remove a couple of ground wires, I believe, but we'll do that in a little bit. Actually, while we're down here, we might as well remove the water source, because we're going to have to remove that anyway. So there's 3 screws for that as well. So now that is loose as well. And of course, as a disclaimer, you guys are responsible yourself for your machine and for your safety. Make sure not to do this unless you're aware of that. You know, make sure the machine is unplugged. Make sure that it's been powered down for a while. It's not hot, no pressure, anything like that. Okay, so bottom is opened up. Let's go ahead and open up the top one time. In order to open up the top, you have to lift up back here a little bit. As you can see, lift here and push in the front. So I'm gonna just kind of wedge that up with my 2 fingers and push from the front, and then it pops out because you got these hooks here. If you can see that hook there on both sides.
Getting value from this video? Please take a moment to like and subscribe.
All right, now we're cooking with gas. Let's remove this knob next. It's just on there with that spring there. If you can see the spring. So we're just gonna pull that out from the side. Just kind of wedge it out. There you go. Now that's removed. Excellent. So you might be asking yourself, why do we have to do all this? Can't we just pop this out? Well, no, unfortunately, because I'll show you. This part here, this steam wand, there is a white ball in there that is holding it in place. So we need, unfortunately, to get this whole cartridge out of there. All right, so we got to just remove these screws here, and they go in a certain orientation. So keep in mind the orientation when you're removing these screws. All right, we're going to do this one first. It's helpful to have a magnetic screwdriver so that you can just remove them like that and put them back later. So that guy's going to go on that spot. For these ones, I'm going to use this towel so that I can put them in the orientation they came out. we go. There's one here underneath this hose, if you can see that. And there's one here as well. And we might as well remove this guy as well. This is the steam valve. And we have to move this switch here in addition. All right, so I'm just going to take this screwdriver and wedge this micro switch out of there. There's a little nose here that keeps it clipped in. So we're just going to try to move that to the side a little bit and wedge that out of there. So we're going to need this for later. Let's move that to the side. And okay, this is the mounting part for our steam valve. We might as well remove that. So let's just remove this steam hose from the old steam valve just to get it out of there. And here's one of those clips, by the way. These clips are super common in machines like that. Let's just remove that clip. Okay, so now this is the high pressure line that was going to the steam valve, and we're going to replace the steam valve. That's what the steam valve looks like there, and there ought to be, yeah, there's still an O-ring stuck in there. So save those O-rings are important. These O-rings are really important. So save that guy. And then anyhow, this is how the old one looked. So you see, this is the record holder where the high pressure line came in, and then it went out on this nipple here to the silicone hose. But we're not going to use the silicone hose anymore because now we have a high pressure line going out. But what we might as well do is detach this old steam valve from the mount. Okay. So that's the old steam valve. I'm going to set that over there for now. That's the mount. And this is going to be the new steam valve. As you see, it's got the high pressure coming in and the high pressure going out. All right, now we got a good view, and now we can remove this guy as well. So I move that clip there, and then we can just pull that up and off of the old steam wand. Oh, it doesn't want to come out. That's tough to remove. That might break. Actually, it's not really necessary to remove that. So what I do have to remove though is this screw so that we can get the cassette out. That goes there. And now the cassette should be movable. So by cassette, I mean this whole part inside here should move up and out. If I press up from the bottom, you should be able to see that start to move. Now there is also this ground wire here. So I gotta detach this ground wire. This is the ground wire I'm talking about, and we'll have to put this guy back later. So I'm just gonna pull that off. And I think that there's a ground wire on the bottom too to remove. And it may differ a little bit depending on the model that you have. They don't all have ground wires in the same spots, but there's a ground wire here as well. You probably can't see it that good, but I gotta get that off there too. Okay, so now hopefully the cassette will drop out. And we also have to be careful of this on button here. This on button likes to get in the way because that attaches here to the switch. So now, it should just drop right out. And you can see I'm just pulling it up and off. Take your time with this. Just kind of wiggle it out of there. Okay, so that's what we're working with right now. That's the cassette. And this is the casing here. So now we can remove this guy. See, this white ball was being held in before by the cassette. That's why we needed to take the whole cassette out. Let's do one thing. Let's remove this silicone hose here gently. So in order to do that, we've got to, it may be kind of on there through a vacuum. So we might need to break that vacuum a little bit. Okay, now I've got that hose off of there. Can discard that. We need to remove this clip. Oh, that's magnetic, nice. And now we can just pull this down and out. Okay, so now everything is apart. Don't need these things anymore. So now we can take our new steam wand here. Very nice. It's got a 1-hole tip on it, by the way. And we're just gonna slide that down through there. See that? Just slide it on down through there. Luckily, it fits. So that's all we have to do to get the new one in. See, ooh, that's looking pretty. Very nice. And now the reverse process. Now we have to put the cassette back in. So we're gonna stuff everything through here, including the cord. Oops. Including these water lines, the cassette itself. Now the important thing is to make sure that this new high pressure line from the new steam wand, that it goes up through this hole right here. There's a hole here. I do find that getting a cassette in and out is really kind of the biggest pain in the butt of this whole process. Get in there. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be in there like that, but I'm going to put it in there. Okay, we're getting there. Again, we got to make sure that this goes through that hole. This hole right here. Okay. Yeah, that's not so bad. Now usually what happens is that it gets kind of stuck here on the switch part, so you got to get past that switch. Now we should hopefully be all the way down. Yeah. All right, looking pretty good so far. So that's got to be in there like that. And as you can see, it's still able to rotate and stuff. You want to make sure that the movement is still fine. And as you can see, that white nut down in there, that white nut is being held in place by this top cassette part. So it can't go anywhere. Okay, let's put a couple of screws back in. And we want to put them in, you know, in the order that they go. So this one was on the bottom right. Oh, see, I made a mistake. We have to put this mounting kit in there first. The mount for the steam valve, I should say. There we go. Now, just to make sure that we don't make any mistakes, let's put the new valve on as well. Okay, so the new valve is going to go on like that. We're going to take the screws from the old valve and put them in there. Oh, they're not magnetic. That's too bad. Okay, so another indicator, by the way, that you're down deep enough with the cassette is that this mount for the steam switch lever is going to be right in the middle of that hole there. So that way I know that we're on point, which is good, and we can button up the rest of it here. Now, as I mentioned before, we have to save this little O-ring to put back on the high pressure line that's coming from the brew group there, and put that here into the new steam valve. Push that in real good and push the clip in. Let's see if I can get a close-up of that. Just like that. And now we have to work this one in there as well. So we might as well stick this guy, I think, underneath there, and we're going to take our O-ring. This is the one I got from the other machine. Put it on there, and put that in.
Also with the clip that I got from another machine. Okay, so now we're good to go up here. We're going to stick our steam lever back on, just like so. All you gotta do is push it on. Excellent. Okay. Oh, we can't forget, of course, to put on our switch. All you have to do is just plop that on like so. There's these two pins that it goes on. These holes go on top of the pins. And that's so that the controller knows that we are switched on or off. And the one last thing that we have to do is attach this ground wire. This ground wire goes down there. Okay, I think that we can actually button up the top now. So to do that, we're just going to do it in a reverse order. We're going to set that on top, set it on top lightly like that. We're going to get these hooks lined up where they need to go, and then just push forward. I'm going to pull back this plastic a little bit there, so now everything is in place. Okay, good to go. I might as well button up this part as well. Now we just have to button up the bottom and we're good to go. So something important is we have to put these guys back in there as they belong. Just like that. Put that guy in there like that. We'll have to detach these from the cassette to mount it. And there we go. I'll just button that into place with the 3 Phillips screws, which are thankfully magnetic. Now before we button this up, we do have one ground yet that we have to attach. Oh, the ground is way down here. So that's a bit of a pain in the butt. I'm gonna take my tweezers to see if I can get it on down in there. Otherwise, a needle nose pliers is a good idea here. Okay, but I got it. Thankfully I got it. Okay, good. So now we can just button up the bottom part and we're good to go. Then we gotta test it, of course. And before you put everything back together, make sure this on and off switch is working. That's important. All right, good. Let's put the bottom part back on. Put in the 2 shorter Phillips screws in the front. Switch to our other crazy bit here, the T20 with the hole in it, and put the rest in. This tool I'm using, by the way, is a Milwaukee screwdriver. It saves so much time. You can also set the torque on it. I got it set at 6 right now, so it doesn't over torque these screws into the plastic. So yeah. Just about finished. Perfect. Let us see if these are good to go as well. Yes, they are. Okay. Now we can put our water tank back on. And we can put on our drip tray as well. Excellent. Now we can turn it on and see if it works.
All right, and now a final function test. Let's see how it works. First for hot water. No leaks. And now let's put it to steam mode and see about that. Okay. Very dry. All right, so What we see is, yes, it is possible you can put one of these fancier new steam wands on an older model like an EC680, EC685, or EC785. It does take a little time, little patience. I've done this before numerous times, taking this machine apart. But with some patience and with just a couple of tools, you should be able to do it. I do suggest looking at this video first before attempting it, and then coming back to the video for reference when you actually plan to go through with it. Again, take a look in the description box for the links for the steam wand itself, for the steam valve, and I'm going to try to find also a link for the O-ring as well as the clip. Thanks very much for watching. Until next time, I say happy coffee drinking, happy espresso drinking. Bye now.